I want to talk a little bit about today, just about success, but in general, I want to talk about legacy. And legacy is one of those things that has been on my mind lately, especially because of this guy right here. Most of you know Jamal's story, again, the 9-to-5 millionaire, a police officer.
I like that more than 9 to 5 million.
Yeah, that's the name of the book.
That.
You know what I'm saying?
I like CJ Brandon,
yeah, I like that.
But of course, Maul was able to build 4 multi-million-dollar companies while still being a full-time Chicago police officer. And it's funny because, you know, when I talk to Maul and, you know, y'all know I got the crest, they called it a logo. You know what I'm saying?
Did we post it?
Yo, I don't know, but Maul, like,
We
he tried to tell me and my wife were in his house. Now, Maul, I told y'all, Maul house is like the size of Philly, right? And so we were in the house and we were trying to count how many crests there were. And he gonna say, man, it ain't number like 15. I said, bro, it's 15 in this room.
No,
so,
that's real.
you know, we were walking around. Of course, we got the crest, but, you know, when you talk about legacy, you know, it's funny because these two talk about it a little different, and I don't think it's anything wrong with either one, but I know E is always like, yo, I'm not trying to leave my kids nothing. Like, I give them, you know, advice, and that's it. Like, I'm not trying to interested in leaving my kids, you know, that kind of bread. And Maul, it was crazy because we sat there and talked, and Maul put me on something that I didn't even think was possible with, you know, our people. His kids got a trust already set up. And I was like, a trust? I'm like a trust fund? And he was like, yeah. He's like, I had set it up a long time ago. I'm trying to leave my kids millions. And I wanted to, you know, first of all, get both theories, you know, because I'm still trying to figure out for my kids, like, what's the best course of action, you know what I mean? And so, E, why do you feel like, I guess, you don't really want to leave your kids with a huge financial windfall when you pass? What's the science behind that? And then I'm gonna come to you and ask you, you know, kind of why you believe it the other way. And then we'll talk about some of the steps it even takes to even have those type of conversations to get there where you can talk about, should I or shouldn't I be leaving my kids with millions of dollars?
Yeah, so you know what's funny, you know, I talked to you guys, well, if you listen to the podcast, I don't remember, maybe it was about 3 or 4 years ago when I got invited to have that lunch with Warren Buffett, you know. And so, of course, you know, they're in the room talking legacy talk. And, you know, Warren Buffett said something deep. You know, at that time, he was probably the 3rd or 4th richest man in the world. And he was just talking about his kids and was like, yo, they cannot handle me dying and me giving them billions. He's like, they can't handle it. You know, and I thought about that, and I was like, I got 2 kids. So when I say it, I'm really talking about my son. And, you know, maybe if I would have had my millions when I was younger, I would have said that. But my son's just not mature enough for that. I've seen how he's handled money when he was 18, 19. He blowing through it. Why? Because he didn't work for it. So he blowing through money. So I have to be very cautious with, I'll only give you so much. You feel me? And I'm going to leave him a legacy. But right now, he's in Alabama with, you know, Nick Saban and the boys. So my legacy is, I know what you want to do professionally, and I'm going to have you sit with the greatest, and I'm going to teach you how to make billions, right? From your own hand. Because again, like I said, I've had loved ones that die. My grandfather died. He gave money to my aunts. They, for real, my grandfather worked hard. Gary, Indiana, steel mill. And my aunts ran through it, you know, flat out. My mom is very mature with money. So my mom handled her business, but my nephew, when his mom died, he got that check, you know what I'm saying? And he blew through it. So if my son was mature financially and he showed me like, Dad, I can handle millions, why, of course I would pass it over to him. But I just don't see that maturity. You know, his sister's a little different. She got her first like real money when she graduated from high school, and she put it all in a fund. Like just 3 years, like you can't touch it for 3 years. So with my daughter, I'll be honest, I've had conversations with my daughter like, yo, if something happened to me, X, Y, Z, you know what I'm saying? We just sat down with the lawyer, the insurance folks, they know, my daughter, you know, but when it comes to my son, you know, and you've seen in some instances, and again, it's each child, but you've seen in some instances where kids have become drug addicts. You know what I'm saying? They come from rich families and they take that money and, you know, some of them die, you know, because they just binge, you know. So for me, my thing is I do want my children to be millionaires, billionaires, but with Jalen, I can't necessarily financially give it to you, but to me, I feel like him being with Alabama this week, he'll be with the Saints next week. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm giving it to him. And I'm gonna say this real quick. He said something to me. He's like, Dad, he was like, he hit me up last week and was like, yo, I get it. What you're doing for me is more like bonds. I get it. You're giving me the type of information that I can cash out one day and make millions. But he's like, I ain't gonna lie, I just wanted the money. And I'm like, bruh, do you know how much it hurts me as a father not to be able to just give you a Porsche, just to be able to give you 40, 50 grand in your pocket to go make investments? I was like, it hurt me as a father because I got money and I can do it. But you've not proven that you're mature enough for it, right? And where much is given, much is required. So maybe if my daughter was the oldest, I might have that conversation because she seems to be a lot more, mature, but just 100. My son ain't he not the one. But I feel like once he earns his own money and has respect for money, then at that point we might be able to have another conversation and I might be able to say, son, here's our legacy. Now I don't want you to take this legacy and build a legacy, but right now he's not, he's not mature enough for that kind of money.
Your oldest is only 14, so you feel like they're gonna be ready for the money. You know what I'm saying? Little Jake too, so we had a long time before we could judge whether he's ready. But how do you look at it? And you set up the trust, and you always talk about that. You always talk about the trust. How do you feel about what E's saying, and how do you apply it to your own situation? And what do you know what I mean in terms of what you want to leave your kids and ultimately?
I think me and E, we kind of saying the same thing
Absolutely.
a little bit.
Yeah.
We kind of saying the same thing, but
we want them to have money.
yeah, you want them to have money, but you want them to respect money.
Yeah.
You want to be able to teach them. I'm blessed to say my kids are young enough for me to actually show them how to respect it, show them how to make it. Mm-hmm. And then by the time they turn 21, 22 years old, they got this waiting on them. So I just look at it like, and I know a lot of rich kids, a lot of times they end up, sometimes you hear about them coming on drugs, like you said.
A lot of broke kids too, by the way.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm
broke kids on drugs
As a police officer in Chicago,
you gotta be on drugs. Trust me.
as a police officer in Chicago, I've seen a lot of poor people also on drugs. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times poverty is kind of, connected with drugs. But I used to always read and hearing about how we as people always have to start over. Why do we always got to start over? How come I can't build something and then pass it on to the next person and then let them take it and then they pass it on to the next person? That's how you start building generational wealth.
Yeah.
But when I'm just going to make what I make and then now it's your turn. No, we starting over again. I tell you all the time, my dad was a Chicago police officer in 1977. That's the same year I was born. He was making $12,500 in a police academy. He said the day I was born, he was in the academy, going around the academy saying, man, I just had a baby boy. Little did he know, 21 years later, his son would be in the same spot he was in. And then when my dad ended up retiring from the police department, he was a sergeant. He went through the ranks and made sergeant, but now all of a sudden, when he left, he couldn't just pull his stripes and say, here you go, son, this is for you. I had to start all over again. Yeah. Then I had to take a promotional test and get denied. I had to go through the same stuff he went through. And I said, wait a minute, man, I can't do this. Because then my kid gonna have to do the same thing all over again. Mm-hmm. And then my grandkids. So I'm just like, look, I need to find a way where I can make sure we're good. Now I'm going to teach them. I'm going to have them respect money. We teach them I bring my daughters out to the properties and I let them see what's going on. Mm-hmm. I take allowance money from them and say, hey, I think I might have told you before. I take allowance money from them and say, hey, what you want to do with this money? You want to put it in the bank? And they're like, oh yeah, I want to put it in the bank. I say, okay, great. And then after a month, I get them 2 pennies. I say, this is what you made on your money. And they'd be looking like, what's this? This is what the bank is gonna do for you.
Yeah.
Next time, if you wanna make some money though, give daddy your money. I'm invested in a piece of real estate. And then after 3 months after we sell this property, I'll give you profit from that. And then they'll give me their little allowance. It might be, $100. And they give me that $100, I go hold that and put it in my pocket or whatever. And then after 3 months, after we do a property, I'll come back and bring them like $500. This is what happens when you invest your money. So legacy ain't just about just leaving them money. I'm leaving them knowledge. I'm making them where they can eat forever, where they can fish. So, but they have to see it. They have to understand it. They got to taste that one side where you get them 2 pennies from the bank. And then they got to see that other side where you actually getting that money that you didn't even have to work for. Just the idea made you money.